My name's Vanessa. Some people might call me Mommonality or know me as Mommonality, which is basically a juxtaposition of the word mom and commonality smashed together, and sometimes people butcher it, but that's okay. I wear many hats, so I'm a mom, first and foremost. I have two little girls, Aria, who's going to be 6, and Isla, who is going to be 2, which is crazy to think of because COVID has basically fast forward everything a little bit further ahead than I had anticipated. And I started back at work this year. So prior to going back to work, I started a few businesses, one of them called the Mommonality Market, which some people might know about, where I host community events and more so markets for local artisans, small businesses to come together, sell their goods, meet new clients, and basically just have fun, get out of the house. It's just it's really an excuse to just showcase their business and then also get moms out of the house on a Sunday because no one wants to clean their house on a Sunday. But anyway, so in addition to the Mommonality Market, I also have a blog called Mommonality. You're going to see a common theme here of Mommonality everything. And then I also have a Mommonality podcast where I talk to business owners, moms, people who are interested in fashion, anything and everything you could think of that's under the sun, not necessarily tied to being a mom, which is nice. So I do a lot of things and a lot more on the go, and I'm hopeful that 2021 will be a little bit more promising than 2020 was, so we'll see how that goes. My business actually launched in 2020 of January prior to any COVID explosion. We had our first market January 26th of 2020, and we had over 450 people in attendance, 80 vendors. It was wicked, especially in a month of retail, no. And, I had a lot of drive and passion and excitement behind it. I met a lot of people, and that still seems to be the case. However, this year's changed this year being 2021, a lot has changed because, COVID did happen in 2020 and it hit in March, which you kind of hit the ground running and it kind of slowed down, and it was just constantly pivoting, like virtual experiences, e-commerce experiences. Then you're home with your kids and your partner at that time, which I'll get into, is home even more now. Even though they worked from home before, they're home even more now because they're not going to do things at the office every now and then because the home is now the office. So I think a lot of why I started this business was, to feel a sense of community, to feel supported, to feel loved. And I only really realized that this year because my ex-partner actually, and I are actually no longer together. And I think a lot of the reasons why I started this business was to kind of find that sense of love and support that I, at the time, maybe didn't want to admit existed. And, I have now, we are no longer together, and it's actually been such a huge, weight lifted off my shoulder where I feel like everything I was doing was to kind of put a Band-Aid on all of the hurt that I was feeling. And, there's so many things that go on behind closed doors that people don't really realize, and people don't share because there's some people who share their bad times, their good times, and everything in between, but nobody wants to look at an Instagram feed of somebody constantly failing or constantly crying or relationship is crumbling, though some of us might be like, oh my gosh, thank God I'm not alone. But a lot of the reasons why the businesses I started were out of a sense of need to feel like I had something and to feel good about, myself and my self-worth, and find other women who lifted me up because I didn't feel like I was getting that support I had at home. And I can't rely on my kids to make me feel that way. As happy as they make me feel, I'm not going to put that pressure on children to build their mother up because, we have to do that ourselves. That is our responsibility. But it's also the responsibility of the person you're choosing to live with to respect you and love you. So going into 2021, left that negative energy behind, moved on, now co-parenting, still running the businesses, but also scaling back in a way that doesn't affect my time with my girls or my time with my new partner. Yes, there's a new partner. But when something has been done with for so long, it's very easy just to move on because you're dealing with the inner turmoil for years and years and years. So yes, 2021, I'm just kind of like doing things that feel good. That's kind of like my mantra, whatever it is you want to call it. I'm not going to create this elaborate plan and stress myself out to stick to it. If I have an idea, I can make it work, and it's going to work based on timelines. I'm going to do it. And I'm not paying attention to the competition. I'm not paying attention to what everyone else is doing, because honestly, comparison is like the complete thief of joy. And that's one thing I really, really noticed in 2020 is constantly comparing and trying to one up or do the same thing as someone else. It's very defeating, especially when you're dealing with a lot of like negative inner demons about what's going on at home at the same time, and trying to stay on par with what everyone else in your community is doing. It's exhausting. So 2021 is all about doing what feels good. You know, before it was maybe monthly markets, and now maybe it's a market when I feel like it, right? And I think for me to do that, it's showcasing a love and respect for my time, my kids' time, my new partner's time, and my mental health. So like 2020, trying to hit the ground running and be on top of everyone, be the best at everything, while also trying to not, kill myself over the craziness happening at home. And I mean that figuratively, not literally, but that version versus 2021, just doing what feels good and on my time, is the hugest difference, I would say, is with my businesses going into 2021. For me, like self-love and self-care, it started out like when you see on social media, you'll see people like, I took a shower, self-love, self-care. I'm like, girl, that's hygiene. Like, that is not self-love. Like, okay, you took a bath, like, okay, that's nice because you're like relaxing a little bit, but like doing like basic things to make sure that you don't smell like a dumpster, like that is not self-love. That is basic hygiene. Like, you should not be checking the box for self-love. Mind you, like, you're taking care of yourself, but that's your right. Like, that is your right. Mind you, self-love is your right as well, but what does that look like for me? I think it's just, for me, self-love is, I mean, my kids come first, but like, man, like I come first too. Because if I'm not okay, like they are not going to be okay. Like, I'm going to be moody, I'm going to be unhappy, I'm going to be frustrated. I'm not going to portray or articulate things the way they need to be articulated to them. So for me, my self-love and self-care has been, going into 2021 and even at the end of 2020, was just understanding and being intuitive in how I felt. So if, I was making dinner and I felt anxious about how I was making dinner, or if someone was gonna pick on me for something, and I'm a very sensitive and emotional person and I can be blunt about that. If anything I was doing, dinner as an example, started to give me anxiety, it was because of the way that the result of that dinner or the result of the action that I was doing was going to potentially end in someone making me feel less than or unworthy of or not as good as, in little comments. And some people will be like, oh, you're too emotional, or you take things too to heart. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. And the person that you should be with and the people you should surround yourself with should make you feel good, should uplift you. And a lot of that self-work comes from within, and recognizing who it is you're surrounding yourself with and who it is that's making you feel certain ways. And you'll have people in your life who maybe are narcissists and maybe will say to you, no one can make you feel a certain way. It's how you choose to feel. And you know what, to a certain extent that's true, but you can't be surrounding yourself with people or groups of like-minded individuals who are just constantly like raining on your parade, for lack of a better word, or picking on the things that it is that you do day in and day out. And for some people, they can just like roll with the punches and still deal with it. But like at some point, it's going to catch up to you. Like, you can't surround yourself with people who basically are not your cheerleaders. They're not your raving fans, as one of this Instagram follower that I follow. She talks about raving fans. Like, the people you surround yourself with should all be your like raving fans, whether they're doing it publicly, silently, right in your corner, or, you know, behind your back and they've never met you face to face. Like, you need raving fans in your life, because those are the people who uplift you, whether they're saying it to you or not, and you'll feel that energy even if it's never actually physically exchanged in conversation. So 2021 was all about, you know, sticking to my raving fans. And yeah, like maybe that's a partner, like my new old partner that's been brought back into my life, and you know, that person's always been a raving fan. Sometimes you meet people when you're really, really young, and you know, you go out and you explore and you come back to each other and you're just like, man, like, you're still here for me. Like, I hear you, you see me, I see you. So yeah, like, removing a relationship that didn't serve me in many, many ways, and then transitioning into a relationship that's positive, where I feel seen, where I feel heard, and where I can truly see that person. I can see them, and I don't have to guess about who they are. And you're constantly learning about each other, but you're constantly reciprocating that love for one another at the same time, because you're truly being your authentic self and you're truly accepted the whole time. And I didn't have that. And I don't know if a lot of people do. Like, there's times where we'll just be sitting together and I'm looking at him and I'm like, I don't know if a lot of people have this, because I feel like a lot of us probably just settle. You know, we have kids, we get married. In my case, I had kids first. Or sometimes we get married, we have kids, we're living together, and we're just like, okay, that's it. That's not it. If you're happy and things are going well, I'm not saying you're never gonna fight. I'm not saying you're never gonna be, you're never gonna have your issues. Everyone's gonna have that. But if you can't respect that person, and by respect, I don't mean like, oh, like I respect her, she's a good mom. Like, no. There needs to be like this actual full encompassing love that at the end of the day, no matter what, there's nothing that can affect or tarnish that relationship. If you don't have that, and you're not happy, or you're anxious or nervous about what your partner or the people that you surround yourself with are going to think about you, that is not love. And that is doing a disservice to loving yourself at the same time.